Hi Discover Church family, this is what people come to Australia for. The iconic scenes of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the Sydney Opera House. It's all right here, right behind me. So we are here in Sydney and a major election is happening. Our Prime Minister is called Anthony Albanese, a real globalist. He's let in 1.8 million migrants, mainly from the Middle East of Muslim origin, into the country. It's caused a radical change in the demographics. Some people have said that they've been noticing a lot more crime, a lot more poverty, a lot more businesses closing down. Basically the anti-Trump guy. You know, if Trump wasn't there, he'd take this country down the wrong road. So I was talking to a Muslim store owner, and he also doesn't like the guy. And he says, you know, everybody's telling him, don't vote for Labor in this election. He says, but how is it like living in America? He says, you know, is it a concern in America right now to be there? I said, no, it feels great. The energy's awesome. People feel like opportunities come back, freedoms come back, common senses come back. Like with the stroke of a pen, Trump can just say, there are two genders, that's it. And for Americans, they love that. They just think it's common sense, traditional values, and it's wonderful. I mean, the very idea that, like the pretense that we have in Australia, that all this radical agenda is not influencing kids in a bad way. I saw a great meme that just answers it. There's this little kid, and she asked a question in this meme. She said, do you mean to tell me that putting tobacco ads on race cars might influence my decision to smoke? But reading and making all these, what do they call, like gay story time and transgender storybooks, putting this in the faces of children, that's not going to influence my decisions in any way. Well, of course, that's such pretense. So we're living in a place right now that is so beautiful, and yet the economy's going down, crime's going up, a lot of things is happening. And this guy, he said to me, how come everybody's saying don't vote for Labor? And that's what I've heard. I've heard everybody say, just put Labor last. I mean, actually put Labor second to last, put the Greens last. Why are people feeling this way? And I hope that this is an awakening for people. And then he compared it to Trump, and he said, what's it like to live in America at this time? I said, well, it's great. It's high energy. He said, but the tariff, you know, if you listen to the media here, they're going on and on and on all day long about the tariff is going to destroy the world economy. And what has it done? Just the opposite, right? I said to the guy, well, oil price has gone down, hasn't it? Who did that? Wasn't any of these weakling politicians in Australia? Not a single one of them can control the price of oil coming into Australia. Who did that? That was Donald Trump. So the first step to bringing down food prices and the prices of goods for us is lowering oil prices. He did that. With the tariffs, immediately, oil price plummeted. Then I said, who has made interest rates fall in Australia? Who? Labor? No, not even the Liberals. None of them have the agenda or the power to do anything about it. They don't have an interest in doing it. It's the Trump tariffs that have caused interest rates here in Australia to fall. I said, isn't that good for you? Isn't that good for all landlords? And if Labor comes in, you know, they're an enemy to landlords. They don't like, he's a landlord, he has to, you know, he has properties, and he doesn't want to pay high mortgage rates. So I said, we're all benefiting from one man's decision and leadership, Donald Trump, through the tariffs. And so I listened to another person who said she's never interested in politics, doesn't even pay attention until now. And you know why? Because the left overplayed their hand. They're going on and on and on attacking Donald Trump about the tariffs, to the point where people who don't even pay attention, she said, wait a second, if they have to say that much to try to convince me, every time I turn on the TV, the economy is going to crash, everything's going to be destroyed by Trump, she said the opposite must be true. Is that amazing? A person who knew nothing. They've totally overplayed their hand. They're totally trying too hard to push the brainwashing and the indoctrination. And ordinary people are now figuring it out. Something's going on with this election. Something's going on where they have to try to brainwash us. And you can see, there's no economic crash. It's not going to crash on the timeline of the book of Revelation. It's not going to crash this year or next year. And so I told people, I'm not concerned at all. Let the market dip, you can buy more if that's what you're into. Let the Bitcoin dip, you can buy more if that's what you're into. And that's precisely what's happened. I have no fear at all. Trump's going to accomplish his agenda. It's looking well. But something happens in about 2 years, and that's the part that's a mystery. We don't know what it is. I guess, the globalists and the leftists are going to try to come back in full vengeance, because really, if America, I'll put it this way. I said this on the Jim Baker show. I was on Jim Baker for 4 shows recently, and up to you if you want to check that out. But thank God Jim Baker's still interviewing and spreading the gospel, doing a good job there. But I said to him that if America were to succeed and America were to stay strong for the rest of the age, then the Antichrist couldn't come. And that's the concern. The Antichrist is coming, the guy that's anti-Bible, anti-Christian, anti-family, anti-traditional value, anti-even nature, right? Anti-everything natural. That guy is coming, anti-Israel. He's coming. And what happens to the world that allows him to come? What is it? Something happens, and I think in about 2 years we're going to find out what is that thing that comes. But for now, I would say Australia, if you can, re-examine, question everything that the media is telling you. Why are they pushing it so hard? What is the agenda? And thank God that through Trump, once again, despite what they're trying to lie to us, interest rates are coming down, common sense is coming back, pressure is being put on even in Australian universities. You know that we have been receiving millions of dollars. Why? Why are we receiving millions of dollars from the American taxpayers to indoctrinate Australian kids in universities? That's what's happening. And USAID, he pulled it back. Donald Trump says no more because you're not teaching the right thing. Why are you're teaching, you're anti-American. You look at all the university kids that have been brainwashed to be anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-capitalism. Why are we funding this kind of stuff? And so that money has run dry in Australia, not through the Australian politicians, but through Donald Trump. So one leader can make a big difference. Here, the Prime Minister is not as strong as the President, but still, I would say, personally for me, whatever you want to choose, you make your own educated decision. But I, as a citizen, I just cannot stand the decisions and the policies that have been made through the administration of Anthony Albanese. I don't trust him at all. I don't like what he's done. It's not good for the economy, not good for the nation, not good for Christianity. It's not pro-church. And so I would say just question what is going on, and listen to that store owner that I talked to today. He was asking why. Why is it everyone's saying put the green last and then put labor second to last? What's going on in this country? So we're going to know pretty soon what's going to happen in Australia. I would say if Anthony Albanese comes back, then I really think the whole population, it's over. It's over, because they're going to push through such radical things. Even in Victoria, they've already pushed through the most draconian anti-free speech law in the entire world. It's just terrible, right? They've done that. So they are in charge. Labor here is like the Democrats in America. They're in charge of every single state except Tasmania. Imagine if America was that way. It'd be gone. It'd be over. So I think that if Anthony Albanese, if you turn on the news and he's back as the Prime Minister of this country, the only thing that will keep this country in check will be the fact that Trump is there for the next 2 to 4 years. His agenda will be completely thwarted in 2 years if they lose the House in the midterm elections. So you've got these key critical things that are happening, and the church is praying. We're praying for justice. I'm so glad to see there was a judge that was arrested today in America because he's giving safe harbor to a known criminal thug. This kind of stuff is happening in Australia, but you don't see any arrests. So they persecute people who are posting anything that questions the mainline narrative that they want everybody to believe. And so we have to stand up for freedom here, and we are the kind of people that they like to attack. We'll see. We'll see what happens in this election, whether freedom of speech will remain in this country. But I'm going to go now to America, so I'll be praying for you in Australia, and I pray that population has a great awakening here, and the church will lead again. The church will bring morality back. We can pray anti-corruption prayers. We can pray justice prayers. The church doesn't know that, but I taught that in Get Prayers Answered. Go ahead and get that. Equip your church with Get Prayers Answered. 30 years of answered prayers, and a lot of it has to do with biblical divine justice. Till next time, keep looking up.